How do I say Ben's name?
Benjamin.
That's right. Benjamin! Okay, so I'll do an intro. And I think I found my cold open already, Daniel.
I think you have.
Hello, and welcome to Runnah, running on Cape Cod in Massachusetts and beyond. I'm Julianna, and I was way too concentrated on saying the word runner as Runnah for that because I messed it up a bunch of times, but that's okay. This is my podcast. There are no rules here unless I make them. Right, Daniel?
That's right.
That's right. So this week, friends, we bring you a special episode with one of my buddies. This is Mr. Daniel Almy. Welcome, Daniel.
Hello, Julianna. Thanks for having me on the show tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here. This has been, I believe for you, a much anticipated and awaited occurrence.
Oh, it definitely has. And, as Julianna said, I am a runner. Ran my first Cape Cod half marathon. That's why I'm wearing this shirt. And, yeah, thanks for having me, Julianna.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be here with you, Daniel, specifically. I was just going to say here in general, but I was like, I do like being here, but I also like being here with Daniel. So it's not, both are true statements. But friends, as Daniel said, he is a now newly appointed half marathon finisher, which is very exciting. So we're going to be talking about your just kind of comeuppance in running, how you started running, and what led you to be running here in Falmouth. And what you like about running, Daniel.
Oh, sure.
Let's start from the beginning, shall we?
Let's start.
Where and when did you start running? Like, where does your running journey begin? In a galaxy far, far away, at a time long, long ago, where does that start?
Well, let's travel back that far. So my running career started when I was a sophomore in high school.
Okay, and you went to the Riverview School, correct?
Correct. Riverview School in East Sandwich.
Mm-hmm. And you're not from the Cape originally, correct?
Correct. Originally from Westboro, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
So just a mile or two off, or actually an hour or two off the bridge.
Yeah.
And my running career started when I first came to Riverview.
Mm-hmm.
7 years ago.
And what led you to come to Riverview? Like, what's special? Can you tell our people who may not know anything about Riverview, what's so special and cool about Riverview?
So, Riverview is a school on Cape Cod, and they have music, which I'm a big music lover, as well as athletics. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of how I got involved in running.
I think I was kind of wondering, like, why, like, what sets it apart from, like, a public school?
Well, it's a specialized boarding school for students with complex learning challenges. I don't really like to use the word disability because
I think I think that we should say challenges or just differently wired brains.
Correct. And my parents sent me to Riverview for the summer. Mm-hmm. I think this was 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And I got involved in the music at that time. Mm-hmm. And then a couple of years later, fast forward to my sophomore year, I ran the mile run in gym class.
Yeah.
And
this was at Riverview, correct?
At Riverview,
okay.
Yes. And the athletic director at the time, Mr. Bankus, shout out to Mr. Bankus, by the way.
Shout out, Mr. Bankus.
I'd called up the athletic director, Ken Merrill, and said, Daniel just ran the half marathon in the mile, thank you.
We'll get to your half marathon experience soon, but you were not running.
We'll get there.
unlike James,
Yeah.
our last guest, Daniel was not running half marathons in 7th grade,
Yeah.
but still doing big things out here on these streets.
Oh yeah. And so the athletic director called up my coach and said, Daniel just ran the mile.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that he was sending me to varsity.
Oh, wow. You get kicked all the way up to varsity. I've never been on a varsity team ever in my life.
And so I thought, oh boy, here I am, having never ran on a varsity cross-country or track team.
Mm-hmm.
And so my summer before my junior year, I spent almost all day, every day, training, because I knew I had to, as a incoming rookie to varsity cross country,
using those good hyper focus skills.
I had to train.
What were you doing for training? The whole day?
So I was running mile after mile. My coach had even scheduled practices at a park in Hingham.
Okay.
Called Wampatuck State Park.
Okay.
I even remember the name.
Look at you out here on these streets, remembering names.
I went to my first cross-country practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pretty much nervous as heck.
Knowing what I know of you, Daniel, and for anyone watching, Daniel and I have known each other how long? Like a year and a half now, approximately?
Something like that.
Somewhere in that. We know each other decently well.
Yeah.
I would imagine you would be quite nervous.
Oh, yeah.
Quite nervous.
In fact, I remember going to my first cross-country meet,
mm-hmm.
and my dad literally has a picture of me, and I'm like just this uptight,
losing
my brain runner,
Uh-huh.
counting every second until it's over.
I appreciate that, Daniel.
But fast forward to 2022, 2023.
Yeah, that's when you graduated from the
That's when I
Riverview School.
graduated, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm running marathons all over.
Yeah, now you're an adult. So
Yeah.
I think you had a pretty decent high school career, correct? Did you win
Yes.
any awards or any events?
I got the Most Valuable Player award.
Oh.
I also got the Team Captain award in my senior year.
Very nice.
The
The only award I have to my name from high school is the Pottery Award. The award that I won that I did not know existed, because it was me and 2 other people in the pottery class who were seniors. And I think they did eeny, miny, mo, and I got the Pottery Award.
Hey, that works too,
I mean, to be fair, my pottery was not bad in any capacity. It was not award-worthy, but it was not bad.
Let's be honest here. I think,
I'm okay at
as
pottery.
someone, who only did pottery, I think it's safe to say that, at the end of the day, it's a winner.
Yeah,
regardless or not.
Pottery is challenging. It definitely is.
Yeah.
Clay is an interesting medium to work with, but I digress. So you got the Team Captain Award. We got the Most Valuable Player Award.
Yes.
Did you win any awards or place at any meets that you guys went to?
Not that I can think of, although I'm sure it'll come later to me after this podcast. But
that's okay. You don't have to remember everything. It's all good. So you were kind of living that sub-elite life then on the varsity team at Riverview.
Correct.
I think one of the things that I want people to take away from this episode, Daniel, is because obviously you've been at the Riverview School a long time. You've seen people who go there who are very active and they excel, like yourself, in that specific field. And you've seen people who have a challenge with running or being active. And I feel like one of the big challenges that people who are neurodiverse, like you and I, come across is kind of that we're kind of in either one of the extremes. We're either very active or we're not active at all, which is something you and I talk about in your training.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. We're either all in or we're all out. But I think it's good for people who are kind of in that neurodivergent section of the world to see someone like yourself who like was able to participate in sports too, and able to like be in sports with other kids who are like you too. Because I mean, you definitely had a really great experience being able to go to Riverview and like be around kids who like you kind of identified with, I would
Absolutely.
say.
Yes.
Yeah, which is awesome. And we'll say like it's a great, if someone out there has a child who is neurodivergent and needs a little bit more extra help than a public school can provide, go check out the Riverview School.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
go check it out, and it's a great school.
Yeah, they have a lot of programs, like the running program, and also they do participate with us for the Cape Cod Marathon,
Yep.
which is something we'll get around to in a hot second, because I think that's the next thing Daniel wanted to talk about was maybe let's talk about when you graduated from Riverview. Where were you at with your running?
So when I graduated from Riverview, I wasn't running as much as I should be.
Well, let's say that loosely, because you weren't training for anything at that point.
Correct.
When we just had the conversation about Daniel training correctly for things, we had a specific distance goal in mind.
Yes.
That was why we were not training quite as much as we probably should have been, because we had a goal that we were trying to meet. You didn't, when you graduated Riverview, did you have a goal race that you were trying to run? Like, had you, no?
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, I was basically just one of those people that went out, that was going to go out running. And
When the wind blows the correct direction, you go outside and you go running.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that still stands, but
I think it's safe to say that.
yeah, I don't think you've changed that much, but
No.
you know, you've gotten better about like discipline levels and things like that. So that's great. But so you weren't really training for anything. You were kind of just like, as the wind blows, we were maybe running once a week, maybe not, maybe twice, maybe not, just kind of however we felt like we were doing. And that's when you started your career at Falmouth Hospital, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yep. Do you want to tell everyone what you do at Falmouth Hospital? Because I know you're very proud
sure.
of what you do.
Yeah. So I am a operating room assistant at Falmouth Hospital. I've been there a little over a year now. Started in July of 2023.
Yeah, because it's 2024 right now.
And
I had to do the
yeah.
math too.
You and me both.
Math is hard. Math
Yeah.
is not my strong suit.
But I did an internship program through Riverview called Project Search.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a school to work transition program
Mm-hmm.
that basically takes students with learning challenges, and they're able to work at Spalding Rehab over in Sandwich,
Mm-hmm.
Cape Cod Hospital in Hyannis, or Falmouth Hospital in Falmouth, basically.
Yeah.
And so I applied for the job as an operating room assistant.
Mm-hmm.
And how I got the job was my coworker, Melanie Taft.
Shout out to Mel.
Shout out to Mel.
We like
yes.
Mel a lot. Mel's a superstar.
She saw potential in me, and she said to my boss, I can see potential in him.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so I applied for the job.
Mm-hmm. And spoiler
Had to fill
alert.
out multiple pages of paperwork. I know, gotta love. Who doesn't love paperwork?
Paperwork is so much fun. Love it.
And so I filled out all the paperwork and
Uh-huh.
the application.
Mhm.
And then towards the end of my school year, I got an email saying that I was hired.
There you go.
And I've been at Falmouth Hospital ever since.
Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely love it.
Yeah, and you're doing a great job too. You even got an article written about you in the Cape Cod Hospital. What is it called?
The Pulse.
The Pulse, which is their like internal magazine that they send out for their employees, which is great. You know, so you have an amazing job.
Oh, yeah.
Move into your new condo,
Yes.
which is great here in Falmouth, and you live pretty close to the bike path, which is like ideal for running around here. We love the bike path; it's a good place to be running.
Except when it's closed.
Yeah, except for right now when it's closed, which I will say on a personal level is annoying the living crapola out of me. That is my main entry point to the bike path that I use. The bike path for me is a way to get around town. And if I do not have my main entry point, I do not like that. Like, yeah, there's too much construction happening here in town. But that is a side tangent that we will take.
Yeah, we'll cover that later.
We'll cover that later. But so we are living somewhere along the bike path. We are living in town. We are working our job. And what I know, the first race that you ran when, like, after you graduated and once you kind of situated yourself in Falmouth was the iconic Falmouth Road Race.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Also, a side note for our viewers and listeners, I know when I start saying things a lot, when Daniel starts parroting them back to me, and that's when I know I have a catchphrase or a Julianna-ism. So, and I think it's very funny. I take no offense to it. I think it's quite funny. But so you figure out, how do we find out that the Falmouth Road Race was even happening? Was it because I know that you got a lottery entry? Did your dad want to run it? Is that what happened? Because you would have had to enter it back in like March before you graduated.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my dad wanted to
run it.
Again, I could be wrong.
That seems like the likely scenario to me, because you have to put in anyone who's not familiar with the Falmouth Road Race, the way it's structured. If you're a resident of Falmouth, which at this point you weren't officially because you didn't have the condo yet when that would have opened, you have 1 week to put in your name for that. You automatically get it if you are a full-time resident of Falmouth, Massachusetts. If you are not a full-time resident, or at least a half-year resident of Falmouth, wow, now I'm pronouncing it like my best friend Jeff, Foulmouth. I freaking live here.
Jeffrey?
Oh, Jeffrey, where are you? Jeffrey is my best friend, and we shout out to Jeffrey because, as Daniel knows, I have different ways that I call people. We had Benjamin, and we have Jeffrey.
We get crazy on the show.
We get so crazy. It's so much fun. But sorry, that was restarting where I was going with that. But if you're not a resident to Falmouth, Massachusetts, you put your name into the general lottery. And then if you get in, you get in. It's just a luck of the draw kind of situation. But that happens over the course of 1 week as well. I believe in April or March. Don't quote me on it. So your dad probably put in your name with his when he put in his name, and then you guys both got in.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to run the Falmouth Road Race as your first ever race outside of Riverview or outside of school.
Yes.
And what was our general review? What did we think about the Falmouth Road Race?
Oh, the Falmouth Road Race, hands down, amazing race.
Yeah. You were gonna say the best, and then you backpedaled that because you're like, I'm not gonna say it's the best race in front of Julianna wearing my Cape Cod Marathon shirt.
Yeah. But all joking aside, the Falmouth Road Race, great race.
Mm-hmm. It is.
It's very scenic.
Crowded.
Lots of great views. Yes, it's very, very crowded.
Yeah, but you came away from it and you loved it.
Oh yeah.
You had your bib up until we replaced it with your bib from this year, and we'll keep it up until we replace it with your bib from next year.
And it's framed on my fridge, just so you know.
Yeah, we keep it in a nice spot. But that was your first foray into, I will say, adult level for Daniel.
Yes.
Road racing, and we gave it a 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
We were ranting and raving about how wonderful it was for a solid month or two afterwards, which is great.
Yeah.
That's exactly the kind of experience you want.
Actually, was it more than a month? Can't remember.
You were probably talking for at least until Christmas about it.
Yeah.
I think probably until we registered you for the half marathon, which was in January, because that's when it opens. So probably closer to about 6 months of Daniel being like, I love the Falmouth Road Race, and me being like, yay.
Exactly what, yeah.
Yeah.
What she said.
Well, actually, you know what? It probably was only until October, actually, because if you remember, this is when I had started to work with you. You and I were working together.
Oh, yeah.
And I told you, hey, if you want, you can come down and volunteer with me at the Cape Cod Marathon finish line because I'm going to be there. And I think it'd be a good way for you to get involved with the running community around here.
Oh, yes. I do remember that.
Yeah. And so you agreed to do that. do you want to talk about how you felt being able to be at that finish line and maybe what you wanted to do after you were at the finish line?
Of what finish line?
The Cape Cod Marathon 2023. The first time when you met Aurora and you handed out water and Gatorade. How did that go for you?
So I absolutely loved volunteering at the Cape Cod Marathon finish line. And just seeing everyone, run through and hearing their names announced by
That girl.
that girl.
That person who announces the names every year.
Who is absolutely crazy on the mic. I mean, hands down, you should hear her. She gets excited. She does. But all joking aside, just hearing her, just seeing everyone finish was just inspirational to me, and I said to myself after that day, I'm like, I'm totally running this next year. And so what do you know?
Texted me multiple times that night saying that he wanted to sign up immediately. And I said, unfortunately, the registration doesn't open till January.
Yeah. I was like determined.
Very determined.
Yeah.
That we were going to sign up for the half marathon because we decided you were at the marathon. I think, yeah. Were you at that? No,
I was there Saturday.
Yeah, so you were at the half marathon finish line.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Aurora was there too and she ran the half marathon. So you and Aurora volunteered together. I got many text messages later that night saying that we wanted to sign up. And you and I had the conversation. You were like, should I sign up for the full marathon or the half marathon? And we decided that the smart decision was the half marathon.
Yes.
So we signed you up for that in January once the registration opened up, which was great. And then we started kind of like getting a little bit into training there. How did your training go this cycle? Like, how was your half marathon training? What did you think about it?
I thought I definitely did a decent job training. However, I feel like now that I'm not training for any marathons coming up, I definitely need to, at some point, buckle down, get it done, and just run.
Yeah. I mean, you went running in the rain on Saturday. I'm proud of you for that. Daniel's getting used to running in weather.
Yeah.
He's getting used to it. We got a rain jacket. You have a hat now.
And she hates it when I text her
that it's raining or that it might rain.
Do I have to go out? She'll be like, yes, you have to go out.
And to be fair, like, we do not leave Daniel hanging. He went out and ran 5 miles in the rain on Saturday. I ran 14 miles in the rain on Saturday. So we treat this with an equal hammer.
Yes.
I'm not going to do anything to ask him to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. So,
such as going running in the thunder and lightning.
Yeah, we're not doing that. No. The lightning is, there are certain weather conditions you can go running in. Lightning is not one of them.
No.
We do not let the devil take our souls today.
Not today, Satan.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking of going running
in the lightning,
in the thunder and lightning,
don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. That and like black ice are like two of the ones. If it's like, those are just like no. But so you did a pretty good job with your training going through the spring into the summer.
Yeah.
I think it was good that we had the Falmouth Road Race as a checkpoint for you, and also that you had your larger goal, which was the half marathon, as a checkpoint for you. Because like a lot of people around here, you train better when you have a goal.
Exactly.
And you're not alone in that. I'm the same way.
And I definitely feel like, going back to my high school career, I definitely feel like having cross-country practice 3-4 days a week definitely helped to improve my running and my times at my races.
Yeah, you had more. The thing is with school, and everyone kind of goes through this. Anyone who's ever been to a school ever, you go from somewhere that's like very structured.
Oh yeah.
And especially a place like the Riverview School where it's very intentionally structured for neurodivergent people like yourself and like me. You go from that environment to being in charge of your own schedule. And it's very challenging.
Indeed.
So definitely kind of feeling like your brain is floundering a little bit, like, exactly like a fish being like, woo, like it's on the sidewalk, like, bleh.
Fish out of water.
Yeah, that was Julianna doing a fish out of water for anyone who was watching on the on the video side of things. For anyone who wasn't, I was just kind of wiggling back and forth and sticking my tongue out and yelling, bleh.
It's all good, you know.
It's nothing is wrong here. Absolutely nothing is wrong here. But you, like everyone else, it's nice to have structure. It's nice to have some structure and a goal to reach towards.
Yeah.
So I think it was good that we had the Falmouth Road Race as a good checkpoint for us. Like, obviously, I was around to encourage you to run.
Oh, yes.
And we were running with the running club for a little bit.
Shout out to Robin.
We'll shout out Robin. Robin helped Daniel out a little bit too, so that was good. And we should probably shout out, who else Finn? Do you want to shout out Finn the dog?
Shout out to Finn.
Finn the dog.
Yeah.
Finn is a dog. He's a good dog. He's a good doggy. We shout out Finn the dog too. But we were able to build up your running to a pretty good spot.
Oh, yeah. And
at that point, I think you were consistently running like 3 days a week at a minimum for the most part?
I'd say, yeah.
Yeah.
And I definitely feel like, you know, going back to my Riverview career, you know, I had a great coach. He was a little crazy, but he would definitely, the way he would coach our team, he would be firm on us sometimes. Like, if he didn't see that we were running hard enough or pushing ourselves, he would literally say to us, "You guys need to run faster." And I can definitely remember there was one race. In fact, I think it was over at, was it the golf course? Yeah, it was over at Sandwich Hollows in Sandwich. He said to us, or not the team, more to me, because he knew that I could push myself. He says to me, "You can definitely run faster." Did you run faster? I was like, yes. But he goes, "Did you really?" And I looked him straight in the eye, being like, "No, I didn't." And so at that point, I sort of let the best of my emotions get to me. But I realized, I definitely was like, I was definitely all up in my head about my running.
Yeah.
But, you know, if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be the runner I am today.
And it's okay to cry too. You know, get those feelings out. It's a nice time. But I feel like it was good for you to have me during this because, you know, I take no prisoners.
For sure.
And Robin also takes no prisoners too. She's even worse than me. So it's good for you to have some people kind of encouraging you. Like, and we're, as you know, like, and like we just talked about, like, I'm not going to push you to do anything that I know you can't do. And like, Robin wouldn't either. And like, or anything that I feel like I wouldn't even attempt. So I think that you did pretty good. And so we had you train in a decent amount. You ran the Falmouth Road Race again. How was this year's Falmouth Road Race?
Honestly, twice as much fun.
Yeah. Why did you like this year better?
Well, knowing that I could push myself more and more and faster led me to do better, which resulted in finishing in under
an hour, right?
Under an hour. And I remember getting back to work that Monday, and I told everyone I was good until the first 5-6 miles. And then once you get up that Falmouth Heights hill, I still can't stand that Falmouth Heights hill.
Yeah.
We
after the Falmouth Road Race, we kind of noted that with your training too.
Yes.
Because you expressed that to me after the Falmouth Road Race.
Millions of times.
Many times. And so we came up with a running route for you that took you up and over the Falmouth Heights Hill, because that's also part of the Cape Cod Half Marathon course is that hill, and you take it twice.
Yeah.
And I know you were really nervous about that because it kind of killed you when you were running the road race. I will also say when I do my speed work days, I usually run the mile 3 through mile 7 of the Falmouth Road Race at a speedier pace. I'll either do intervals or we'll try to just like do negative splits all the way. And my goal at the end is to redline it up over that hill to the point where I'm almost going to vomit.
So it sounds like you really pushed yourself.
I try, because that's the hardest part is running fast up a hill, especially at the end of a run. It's very challenging. So, that's what I told myself when I was running the Falmouth Road Race this year too, was like, Julianna, you know what it feels like to redline it up over this hill. Just like get out there and do it.
Oh yeah. And I think it's all about having that, as my cross country coach used to say, having that grit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget that. In fact, I remember.
You remember that on a day when it's raining, okay, my friend?
Oh, I definitely will. But I think
build up that rain grit.
Absolutely. But I think, having that motivation, that drive, that determination to, get out and run. Yes, it's challenging, but I feel like at the end of the day, as long as you ran, you tried your best, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, you learn a lot about yourself when you run.
Oh, yeah.
You learn about where you are. You learn about your environment. You learn also about, like, internally what's going on. Like, how am I feeling today?
Oh, yeah.
What cool things can my body do? Like, can I run faster? Can I run slower? Can I run up this hill? Can I run up the hill faster?
Do I have to run it all?
Do I have to run? Yeah. Am I going to be running it all? Am I walking this hill? You learn a lot of things. I'm much more of like an emotionally based person than I am like a data driven one. Ben is the data driven one. Anyone who's watched all the other episodes. And Ben and I had this conversation last week when we were running about just me when I get to the end of a marathon. And I feel like you're in this camp too, or a half marathon, and you're pushing yourself and you have to like recall on emotions to keep yourself going or past experiences to keep yourself going. Ben said he's just there for the analytical data, to collect data. And I was like, okay, whatever, Ben.
It's like, okay, sure. And
whatever
you say.
Whatever, my dude. But you were able to learn from your Falmouth Road Race experience, though, and take that into the Cape Cod Half Marathon training. And so we utilized that, which I think was very helpful. So that kind of brings us to the precipice of what is Daniel's current running career, because this is your most recent achievement when it comes to running. And that is you completed the Cape Cod Half Marathon.
Yeah.
Which is very exciting.
Oh, for sure. And
yeah.
I would exaggerate. Very exciting. It was a blast.
Yeah.
Just
how long were you talking about running this half marathon, Daniel? Would you estimate almost a year?
Yes, I would actually say a year. Actually, was it more than a year?
Probably about a year, because you kind of found out about it at the 2023 one.
Yes.
And for reference, if anyone who's listening to this in the way future, this is the year of 2024 right now. And there was much anticipation, much excitement, much like building into the whole race day experience. We had the accumulation of you being excited, your friend Jen from work running it as well. You knew I was going to be at the finish line announcing the finish line, which I think we did a good job getting you across the finish line. Do you think I yelled for you loud enough?
Oh yeah. I mean, for those runners who heard her voice, you know
how loud I am.
She gets. I mean, I can remember I was coming across the finish line and I was like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, and you got announced as a local. You did. You threw your arms up in the air.
Oh yeah, I was like, yeah.
Yeah. That's great. You get announced as a local legend, right?
I sure did. Got to ring that PR bell.
And you got to ring the PR bell. Kathy got a good video of you ringing that PR bell. Ding dong dong dong. It's a fun time. So we get to the half marathon weekend. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling revved up. Ready to go.
Are you nervous?
The day before I was, but the day of I was like, okay. Here we go. Let's go, team.
Yeah, because
we got this.
I think your longest long run beforehand. Did you run a full 13 miles, or did you go up to 12?
Okay. Before?
Yeah, I know you at least did 12.
Yes.
So you were we were pretty confident that you could do it. Like you were pretty good when it came to like the actual doing your long runs. I will say towards the end of your training got a little bit more spotty.
Indeed.
Some of that just because the Run House Run Club kind of got disbanded a little bit, and some other things are outside of our control started happening, which is fine. But you were very good at keeping up with your long runs. So I think that was the thing that kind of made it so you and I knew going into this, we're like, okay, we're good. Plus, you started doing as Ben and I would call mid-run snackies.
Oh, yes.
Big fan of mid-run snackies. Or gels or goos or, you know. We're just going to call them mid-run snackies. So.
Sure, why not? You know, that works too.
Yeah. So we introduced you to taking fuel while you were running.
Yes.
And how did that change your experience? Do you think that made it easier? Did you find any challenges with that?
It definitely made my training a little bit easier because I carried one of the
the little gels.
The liquid gel things. Having that, I definitely think made a big improvement.
You feel like it gave you like a nice little energy boost?
Correct.
Yeah. So you were able to finish strong?
Yes.
Awesome. And so race day comes around. We're getting ready. We're texting Julianna all morning. We're letting our mom know that we're excited. She's going to be at the finish line. She's also going to be along the course. We know I'm going to be at the finish line and the starting line.
Oh, yes.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling more and more excited.
Yeah.
But also hesitant of, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to finish this race? Am I going to be able to get up that
hill?
That Falmouth Heights hill.
Twice.
But you know, during the race, I'm giving myself some endurance. You know, I'm doing all the things a runner would do. You know, I'm self-talking to myself.
Giving yourself a little internal pep talk.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any mantras that you said to yourself, Daniel? Do you have any words that you repeat over and over in your head at all? Were you thinking that this is hard? Were you thinking that I got this? Were you thinking that I better get to the end so that way I don't disappoint Julianna because she's waiting for me there? Were you thinking my mom was going to be looking for me? Were you thinking, wow, that person in front of me has a really loud colored shirt? What were you thinking?
Well,
You're allowed to run the gamut.
I was semi-thinking that the runner in front of me has
a loud shirt
on.
Okay.
There were also some really interesting outfits on.
Oh, okay.
I can't even remember what they were wearing, but
you just remember your brain being like, oh, okay.
And I also remember saying to myself, I can do this. You know, this isn't the last mile or the first or the third mile. I was just in it to, have a good time. And, I kept thinking of all the food that
was going to be at the finish line.
That I was going to be consuming.
After.
Especially the chowder. They have really good chowder at the finish, but no.
Did you get a donut too?
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah.
The best.
That's right. Get the good donuts and the good chowder here at the Cape Cod Marathon. So you're running, you're thinking about food, you're also telling yourself, I got this, we can do this. And how did going over the hills go?
Going up the Falmouth Heights hill, I gotta be honest with you, I knew I was mentally prepared, but I wasn't prepared physically.
Yeah.
And every time I go up that Falmouth Heights hill, I'm like...
It feels longer than it is, doesn't it?
Exactly.
It's because it does that little curvy doodad, and then
plus
it comes
I
back
thought,
around.
As soon as I got up the Falmouth Heights hill, I thought, oh, the finish line,
No, it's like a mile and a half away.
The top is right around the corner. No, you actually have to go up the hill.
And then you go around a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, it does that, like I said, it does that curvy doodad where it makes you go in and then back out, or when you're coming back, it goes out and then back in.
Yeah.
It feels a lot longer than it actually is. It's about from the bottom of the hill on one side to the ball field on the other side, it's about half a mile from point to point. Because I'll do hill repeats on that sometimes.
But I mean, all the views along the course were amazing.
Yeah.
Except for going up that Falmouth Heights hill.
Well, the views are pretty going over the hill.
I mean, the views
the thoughts
are
you
great.
have in your head are not.
Yeah. I mean, the views are great. Don't get me wrong.
It's just that the elevation profile is not your favorite.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's more like it, Daniel. So we get over the Heights Hill twice, not once, but twice. And you get to the finish line. and you hear me on the microphone, and here comes Daniel Almy, local legend.
Yeah.
Woo! We're so excited. Daniel comes through the finish line. And what happened after that?
So I get through the finish line, and of all things, I'm literally wiped out, exhausted. But it was a good time, you know, I think.
You say it like you were surprised that you were tired.
I mean, I literally was tired. I was literally
Yeah.
keeled over. Thought I was about to puke, but I didn't.
I do remember getting that text message from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you did a great job.
Oh, yes.
And do you remember approximately what your time was, or exactly if you remember it?
Oh, gosh. I can't even remember what.
I think you were like 1:58 or something. You came in under 2 hours.
Yeah.
Which
Was
is
it?
very,
Yeah.
I believe it was. I'm pretty sure. Which is pretty impressive for a first half marathon.
Oh, yeah.
So that's great. I
Like
mean,
I
any
was-
time is good, but that's still like, for your first one, it's pretty good.
As I was telling my coworkers that Monday, I definitely did well, but there's always room for improvement.
Yeah, you definitely, we need to ramp up your training. I think that's what we need.
Yeah.
We need to get on that consistency train a little bit more.
Yes,
I think
for
it's
sure.
going to help us out a little bit. But you finish, you get some food, you get some chowder, you get a donut, and you go home. How are you feeling about yourself?
I'm feeling on top of the world,
Yeah.
proud of myself as
Yeah.
can be. And I remember just going out to dinner with my mom that night.
Where'd you guys go?
I can't remember where we went. But
You're just so elated with joy that you just were like floating from place to place.
yeah,
And just
I was like on cloud 9.
Yeah, just like a little manic pixie girl, just like, whoo, just like floating around. Like, whoo, here comes Daniel, whoo. Your mom just has you, you're sitting on your little cloud, and your mom just has like a leash on the cloud, and it's just like, boop, 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 like bringing you along. And you're just like, so anyone listening, I'm making little like wing actions with my hands. So for our audio only listeners, but you were just so thrilled with yourself. And did you wear your medal to work on Monday?
I sure did.
Yeah. What did all your coworkers have to say?
They're like, oh, that's awesome. Oh, you did? Oh, is that this weekend? So many thoughts are,
Yeah. Some people are oblivious.
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't know you run. Oh, really? I'm like, yeah, check the,
Yeah.
you didn't see this?
Yeah, you didn't see
You didn't
the
see
whole
this picture?
Yeah, you didn't see me killing it out here on these streets. Yeah. I think one of the things that, and you might identify with this, Daniel, I think you will, but we'll see what you have to say, that you'll realize when you're running is that the only person that you really need to impress is yourself.
Yes.
Just
In fact,
because.
when I was in high school,
Mm-hmm.
I was all about, oh, I gotta impress my coach, But, you know, having run the Falmouth road race and recently the Cape Cod half marathon, was that it's not about really impressing anyone
Except for
myself.
that little person inside your soul and inside your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you'll run into that too. And I'm sure everyone who's listening to this, who's a runner, who is like, oh yeah, I know that experience of going into work, and you get that one person who's like, I didn't know you ran. And you get the other person being like, whatever. And you get someone who's like, oh, that's nice. And then you're like, but look at me, I did something really hard. Look how cool I am. And
Exactly.
And no one cares. But really, the only person you have to impress is yourself.
Oh, yes.
Plus, you'll find within the community here, like, I was very excited for you. Like, everyone else very excited for you. Obviously, Kathy was too. She made you ring the bell. And
Yep.
things like
She sure did.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm making sure you ring that PR bell.
Yep. Kathy's a good egg. We'll have her back next year for the Cape Cod Marathon update.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for another year, approximately. But it's the people in the running community who get it are going to be the most excited for you and your mom and your dad.
Oh, yes.
For you specifically. That's not the same case for everyone else, but you have a very supportive family, which is great. We love that. And also your friends who know like how hard you work for things and have been along for the journey, like myself.
Shout out to my friend Chase, who's working at Who's
Falmouth
working right now?
Hospital. Yeah, we shout out Chase, Falmouth Hospital, employee of the evening at least. We give him that award. We don't really have the rights to give any other awards
Yeah.
right now, unless we make them up.
I'm
you
sure
know?
we'll think of something right now.
Yeah, Daniel is currently winning the award for best red shirt in the room.
Thank you.
Out of 2 people, one of which is not wearing a red shirt and one of which is.
Well, did you want me to wear my Cape Cod Marathon?
No, I'm just saying you won a very niche award that had no other participants, kind of like the Pottery Award.
Hey, at least you got some award, you know?
There you go. I'd like to offer people are like, what do I win when I win like an award half the time? Like, oh, you win like a kind word and a wink and a hug maybe and like a kind gesture. Sometimes we offer like a round of applause to people. We're not going to clap on here because that's going to screw up the audio. But, we clap in a circle for them. But I digress. So you kind of have it reinforced that like the only one you have to run for is yourself. And that's good because you had a great time.
Oh, I sure did. And, the weather...
We had perfect
The weather was definitely great.
Yeah.
I remember...
No rain.
No rain. That's why I signed up for the Cape Cod Half Marathon was no rain, and
why we're not running Boston together.
Yeah.
Because
I thought we were doing Boston, no? Oh wait,
no, because then you have to train through the winter, Daniel.
I remember we talked about...
We did, but then you realized you had to train through the winter months, and we were not a fan of that at all.
Yes.
So, and I mean, granted, I'm not a fan of that at all either, but I'm more of a fan of running marathons than I am of and I've been running them for a while. It's been since 2018. I'm not necessarily an old lady at this, but I've run more than one before. So I know what I'm getting myself into when I sign up for things, for the most part, partially at least. But we were not a fan of when I mentioned that we would have to go outside in like 20-degree weather and possibly snow and go running. Or run like somewhere between 15 and 20 miles on a treadmill.
Or run 5 miles in the rain.
Or run 5 miles in the rain. Well, if you're running a marathon, you're going to have to run more than 5 miles at a time. But
Yes.
For your casual runs, like your what we call like your everyday miles, 5 miles in the rain is fine. But you probably would have to run like 20 miles in the snow at some point.
Yes.
So, which is not ideal in any capacity, unless again you are a trail runner and you like that. And to you, I say, good for you. That's not my calling in life. But
it's like, congratulations, want a cookie or something?
Yeah, and if Ben is watching this, Ben is like, Julia, I'm going to take you up to the trails at some point, and we're going to run in the snow. And I'm like, I don't know about that.
He'll be like, yeah, we totally are. He'll be like, no, we're not.
Yucky. But we decided that maybe that's not the vibe for us. But we did decide that, and I have to find one, because the one I was going to have us run, it's the same day as my sister's wedding, so we can't do that. We're going to run it together. And it's way earlier in the season than I thought it was going to be. It's in April. I thought it was going to be in May. So they changed the date.
Gotta love when they change those dates,
Yeah, so we got to find like a May or June race that we can run that's a half marathon.
It's like, oh, it's on this date. Oh, wait, I have a commitment that day. Well, guess we're not running that.
Guess we're not doing that one. So we're going to be running a half marathon in the spring together, hopefully.
Heck yeah, we are.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, we just got to find one. We just got to find one that's like a little bit further into May and June. That way you can train in weather that's going to be a little bit more amendable for your preferences. And I think after a couple of years being down here, Daniel, and like training outside, you'll get used to it a little bit more. And we'll get you some better gear. We've started getting you better gear.
Oh, for sure.
You have your nice rain jacket now.
Hit me up with that new gear.
Yeah, anyone who's listening to this or watching this who's a runner, it's like, I love some new gear. There's nothing like opening a new box of shoes and putting on a pair of shoes that like, baby, I love a pair of shoes.
It's like Christmas morning all over again.
Oh, it's whenever you want to. You can just walk into a shoe store and buy shoes and you'll be like, whew, baby, I have new shoes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, God, I think I just got another new pair of shoes today. Dang it. They're slightly used. I think I have 12 pairs in my rotation right now for running shoes. And then I have a six shoe rotation for walking. Granted, and we'll probably do an episode on this at some point. I buy my shoes on used clothing websites. And a lot of them I've gotten brand new for like I just recently got a pair of shoes that retails for about $250 for $60.
And I've heard
brand
all
new.
About it. It's like, I bought this pair of shoes.
Yeah, I love talking about it.
I bought that pair of shoes.
We love talking about shoes. We'll talk about shoes here at one point because I love talking about shoes. But
Mostly her.
yeah, it's all me. Daniel has 1 pair that he runs in. I have 12. So that's kind of the end of that story right there.
But we won't get into that too much.
Yeah, we need to get you some new shoes at some point too. So we'll go to the shoe store at some point.
Yeah.
But that being said, we're going to run a half marathon together. We've kind of determined that for right now, we like the half marathon distance, correct?
Yes, we do.
And the full marathon might be a little bit out of our reach for now.
Correct.
Yeah. I think maybe if we get a few more half marathons under our belt and we can decide, but you and I had the conversation too, because like me, Daniel, you were kind of like very ambitious about your goals when we started talking about signing up for one of the races, and you were like, I'm going to run the full marathon. And I was like, wait, pump the brakes. Maybe not.
It's like, nope.
Not straight out the gate, my friend.
No.
And we decided the half marathon was a good place to start. And
For sure.
I feel like it was.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like it went really well.
I definitely feel like there was a great outcome, and
I think you did great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we also learned from that experience that you're not keen to do 2 of those back to back in a row.
No.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to let Daniel kind of like sit on that for a little bit. And then if you decide you want to go up to the marathon distance, that's fine. The half marathon is also really fun and really great. There's nothing wrong with running half marathons. You do whatever distance you feel is good for you is good for me.
And speaking of half marathons, and this is going to blow your mind.
Yeah.
And for all you half marathoners out there,
you
better sign up for the Cape Cod Half Marathon next year, because I'm
we're
already planning on running it.
Daniel's going to be there. I'm going to be there too. Registration opens in January. So
sign me up.
we will be signing you up, Daniel. It'll be a nice time. So, okay. So I think that kind of brings us to the conclusion of our episode. Would you like to leave our viewers/listeners with any like last thoughts that you have about running, or maybe why they should go out running today?
Good question. Actually, great question.
Okay, thank you. I try.
I don't really have any,
How do you feel when you come back from a run?
Tired, out of breath, but it's a good way to relieve stress. And I find that I'm able to focus more in my everyday job. And it's just a great way to, get in the zone. In fact, I remember, short story.
Okay.
Every time I go out running around town and I see one of my coworkers at work, they'll often say to me, I saw you out running. Really? Yeah. You were running out near the
wherever you were,
near
X, Y, and Z
the
place.
Heights or something.
Yeah, X, Y, and Z.
And I'll be like, oh.
Insert place in Falmouth here.
And I'll be like, oh, really? You were like, yeah, you were near like the Heights, or near Seafood Sam's. And I'll be like, really? I didn't see you. Sure it wasn't someone else? Oh, that's because when I'm running, and this is what a lot of people don't know. But when I'm running, 1, I might not see you. 2, half the time when I'm running, I have my music on and I got my tunes blasting because I don't like to be bothered when I'm running. If I see you, I might say hello, I might not. But but half the time, if someone honks, I'll be like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah. So a lot of the times when people pass you, unless you know what people's cars look like or you catch them before they pass you, if someone honks at you, you can't see who's in the car. They're moving too quickly. Like, I mean, I see people once in a while. I think like people recognize me because I've lived here longer and I have a very distinct leg tattoo collection that I have going on. So I'm kind of easy to spot when I'm running around town. But I totally identify with the person at work or someone you walking in, or like I'll get it a lot when I go like anywhere in Falmouth. People are like, oh, I saw you out running. I'm like, yeah, you probably did.
Then you're like, are you sure that wasn't someone else?
Oh, see, I was like, well, with you might be able to pass as someone else, but no one else in town has the tattoo collection that I have. So it's pretty obvious that it's me.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like,
and I have a very distinct cadence too because of the way I run on my toes. So.
Oh yes, I remember you telling me. In fact, I remember.
Yeah, if Ben is actually watching this still, he will be laughing, and so will Jeffrey. Jeffrey, because I ran with Jeff while I was down in Louisville, and I was talking, and we were talking about shoes while we were running, as I do, because I just brought Jeff a new pair of shoes, and he was trying them out for the first time. And
you and your shoes.
I love a shoe. We love a shoe. And
you should see her closet. No, I'm just kidding.
I have them all in my bathroom. Thank you so much. They're nice and organized on a shelf. I have many shelves that they are very neatly organized. I respect my shoes, Daniel. We know this. I've talked to you many times about your practices with shoes, and Daniel is a former shoe abuser. We are a shoe respecter now, right? Right. We untie our shoes, and then we put our feet into our shoes, and then we retie our shoes. We do not shove our feet into our shoes, and put that heel down. No. We're nice to our shoes. If we're nice to our shoes, then they last longer, which is good. We like that.
Yes, indeedy.
Yes, indeedy do. And I digress. But Jeff and I were talking about how I run on my toes as well too. So I think a lot of people who are watching and listening to this will identify with the comment of "I saw you out running," you being like, "Whatever." Because that's great. Good for them. They saw you running.
Oh, that's nice. Did you want me to do anything?
Yeah.
Did you want me to stop what I was doing, especially running?
Be like, wow, oh my gosh, you saw me running?
Yeah. It's like seriously, it's like I get you saw me out running. It's like, really? Do you want me to stop and start chatting with you in the middle of traffic? Do you want me to start holding up traffic near the entrance to the hospital? What?
I think next time someone beeps at me or does something like that, I'm gonna if I can just stop running and turn to them and be like, "Hello, good sir or ma'am," and just start talking to them. That really throw them for a loop. Sometimes I'll tell you what, Daniel, this is a game I like to play sometimes when I'm out running, when I'm feeling spicy about it, because especially during the summer, because usually I'm running in a short sports bra and shorts, and a lot of guys they'll be running out topless, So we got some skin exposed. People like to stare. People like to stare, especially when you're running down the sidewalk on a street, and they'll stare at you, thinking that you're not going to look back at them. So I like to make direct eye contact with people in cars and see how long it takes for them to look away.
Oh, it's so funny you mentioned that.
Usually it's less than a second, because the second they start looking at you and you make that direct eye contact with them, they're like, wait, that girl running on the street can see me in my car? I'm like, yeah, I can, especially since I'm running against the traffic. And you're sitting in your car facing me. You're staring directly at me. So I'm going to stare you down until you stop staring at me like I am an exhibit at an art show.
In fact,
even though I could be an exhibit at an art show.
In fact, it's so interesting you mentioned that. The other day, I was walking up the hill to work, and I literally see this statue just lock eyes with me for
Oh, yes, you caught me in the act, Daniel.
5 minutes.
And
I thought, is that someone who I work with at the hospital? Are they trying to stare me down my soul? Are they trying to haunt me? Do they know?
They're trying to infect you. They're trying to read your brain, trying to read your mind.
It's you know where I'm going. And for granted, this is at 8:30, 8:45 when I'm
Was
walking.
one of your coworkers waiting at the top of the hill for you?
No, they had driven by, and
oh.
And I'm thinking to myself, was that so-and-so? I think I know this person, but as I'm coming up the hill, I see this person, and I don't think it was you.
No,
I think it was, in fact, it wasn't you.
It
was one of the surgeons. They literally stare me down like this, which is creepy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, they know where I'm going. They know where I work. But why are they staring me down?
Yeah, people like to stare. So anyone who's listening or watching, you can use that game too. If you're running out in the street and people think they have the right to stare at you and you not to stare back, you stare right back in their eyeballs. And you say, "Hello, good ma'am or sir.
Can I help you?
Can I help you? Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
What do you want?"
Would you like a sandwich? I don't usually run with sandwiches.
No.
If you run into Ben might have a sandwich.
Yeah.
But I don't run with sandwiches.
No.
Generally speaking.
I don't run with food at all. I know that's crazy.
I mean, most people don't. You got into the trail running scene, that's when you get the people running with sandwiches and pizzas and weird things, But we'll dive into that another day.
That's a
that's a
story for another
That's a
episode.
conversation for another episode. But let's wrap this bad boy up. I think we had a nice few good tangents
Oh, yes.
that we went off on. I think that was good, and I think that I'm proud of you, Daniel. I don't think that I know that I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
And I think you did a great job running a half marathon. I think we're gonna have fun running a half marathon together in the spring.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's always room for
improvement. Yeah, you got to beat this old lady. This grandma right here. You can't let her keep beating you at things. That's right.
So that's the one that trains more than me.
Yeah, and has like almost a 10-minute faster Falmouth road race time from this year. Can't let this grandma keep beating you.
Oh, just you wait.
My half marathon PR is like 1:37.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been training for a marathon.
Yeah. I know. I gotta start training. Just watch. My times are gonna go down now because I'm gonna start training for an ultra marathon in the spring. Oh well. But you're doing great, Daniel. I'm so proud of you. I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing. I think it's nice for other people to see like a diverse like gamut of people we've had on so far. A few different people, different age ranges, doing different things. And it's especially nice for me, being in the same neurodivergent camp as you, to see other people who are being good examples for our neurodivergent friends.
For sure.
And seeing, because I know you're in contact with a lot of your friends still from the Riverview School.
Oh, yes.
They can see you doing things like that.
Oh, yes.
And maybe eventually some of them will be encouraged to either participate in running, volunteer, I know some of them do, or just take up some kind of physical activity themselves. I think it's always a good thing to be a positive influence amongst your friends.
Absolutely.
So, okay.
I couldn't agree more.
Okay. Would you like to tell the listeners and viewers anything else to wrap up the episode, Daniel?
All I can say is, for all you runners out there, get outside, run, regardless of if it's raining, if it's hailing, if it's snowing, if it's cold, or if it's hot. Get out and run, because that's the only way you improve.
And Daniel is saying that so that way he can put that in his brain, and he's saying the thoughts that he wants someone else to tell him out loud of his mouth, right?
For sure.
Which I don't think is a bad thing at all. I think that's great. So, okay, well, Mr. Daniel, thank you for being on the show today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
World-class athlete here, ¡1 TV star, Daniel Almy. Here he is.
The second youngest.
Second youngest, yep. Second youngest, yep, yeah, because you're older than James, but you're younger than me. I want to say I'm probably the one who's, I think Ben and Nicole are a little bit older than me. Again, Jack is definitely the oldest out of everyone who's been on here. By a lot.
Yeah, not just a little.
A good amount. A good amount. I love you, Jack. But
yes, we love Jack.
But okay, well, listeners, viewers, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Runnah. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on your listening or viewing platform of choice. Don't forget to leave us a rating or review. And we would love to read and talk about some listener feedback on the show. So if you have any feedback for the show, you email me, runnahpod@gmail.com, or you send me an Instagram or a TikTok DM, which is @runnahpod, because, we like to know our friends. And if you have any thoughts or feelings, we'd love to hear them. So until next time, we will see you on the next episode of Runnah. Woo! Woo! That's the end. That's it. Okay, we did it, Daniel. Nice job, my dude.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Runnah. This podcast is edited, hosted, and produced by me, Julianna Coughlin. Brought to you in part by the Falmouth Running Club and the Falmouth Community TV station. If you'd like to connect with us, you can find us on Instagram and on TikTok @runnahpod, and you can send us an email at runnahpod@gmail.com. And our original theme music was brought to you by the one and the only wonderful Jeffrey Hutton. And keep up the great work. I'm proud of you.